Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Alright, so I finally got something worthwhile out of Forbes, and it seems like the government is at least considering legalizing marijuana. Uh, and who do they have it? Who do they hand the case to? None other than California Democrat Dianne Feinstein. And according to that, well, hang on, before you guys start criticizing it, she's supposed to be an enthusiastic drug warrior. I doubt it, but anyways, the Justice Department thought she would actually bring this to light and basically support it. And supposedly, now this is just what it says, and it's coming out of Forbes, so you know it's at least halfway decent if it's coming out of Forbes. Her basic overall principle was that comparing the 2-year average before and after legalization in, what was it, Connecticut and wherever it was, Colorado and Washington. I'll show you that in a second. I gotta highlight it. There was a 20% jump in the national average of recreational use, we'll call it, among 12 to 17-year-olds, and it actually had increased a lot by supposedly 20%. And this is actually on paper. So, this is kind of a problem. However, like anything else, when you legalize something that hasn't been legalized, all the major age groups are going to use it, and then they're going to kind of not use it anymore. It's going to kind of moderize. It's going to kind of get to a medium precedent. 2 years for a study might not be that short of a window. To actually examine it over a 5-year period is when you'd actually see it either increase or drop off. Now, do I think it's going to drop off? No. But at least you'd see it level off a little bit. And that was basically her situation. And upon viewing that, she basically said the national average decreased by 4%. So, basically saying in 2 states, Colorado and Washington, 12 to 17-year-olds increased by 20% usage, while the national average decreased by 4%. So basically, her information is at least solid in terms of the data, supposedly. At least it sounds pretty decent, but you don't know whether or not the data supports anything good. Like these 20% that used, were they more likely to do their schoolwork, obey authority figures? Were they more productive? See, that wasn't studied. I mean, it is what it is, and whatever you want to call it, but that needs to be studied too. I mean, when something is legal or not legal, first off, I think everything is legal. That's basically my assumption on life. Everything is pretty much legal. The reason we have licenses and things like that is to basically control who does what when, and by what population standard. I've always been a naturalist at heart. I will always be a naturalist at heart. Legalization basically would increase underage consumption. That is true, but I don't think it would increase to such a degree where it would harm the average person. I think the way that they need to handle this is not just legalize it, but come up with a way like coffee houses where if you want to do this, you go over to that area and you do it over there. That's what I would do. I wouldn't legalize everything. Basically, I'd legalize red light districts is what I would legalize. And I'd have, half-mile area in certain districts or zones according to their political affiliations. And I'd say, all right, X, Y, Z, R is all legal here. Be merry, be happy, and whatever happens, happens. You would have some kind of stamping system or something where you get to go there, I don't know, 3 or 4 times a month, or 3 or 4 times every 2 to 3 month period. And if you didn't go, you could either save it up or you could pass it on to somebody or something like that in your family, whatever the situation is. And that's what I would do, except for in cases for Marinol and things like that. That's where I would say that you should be able to use it regardless. I have a nephew with neurofibromatosis. He should have already been on Marinol, but Legalese in Michigan says 16. And due to the apeshit crazy ass school he goes to, you can't take a chance with him being underage having the THC level that's high, because then everybody would just be in trouble. So this is at least coming to the table.